July and August because of the
I don't do that. I didn't do that. So I need to just back off and every 15 minutes I take it back off.
Where's the...
Get my next loop.
I'm going to call to order the regular called meeting for Tuesday, August 14th, 2018 at 6 p.m. Folks, take your personal conversations outside, please. That worked. Y'all were talking so loud I couldn't even hear over the speakers. Okay, we called to order the meeting at 6 p.m. Number one, let the record reflect that all members are present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Please remain standing for the invocation. Pastor Knippa.
Thank you. Gracious Lord, we just come to you this evening and commend this whole meeting to you, Lord, and we just pray that you be with all the council members and everyone here, that all that is done and said and acted upon here this evening is for the benefit of all citizens and also to your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Going on to item number 5, consent agenda. Anyone have any changes?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I have changes to page, the one on the budget, 5B.
5B.
And it was, at the very last part, 13. Oh, I'm sorry. It was on the budget. I don't have a page. Page 2. Budget workshop. Page 2, budget workshop.
Okay. Page 2, budget work session.
Yeah. It's where it starts with the airport fund, reviewed with fuel sales down. Discussion on increasing the water and sewer rates by 4% and decreasing the electric rates by 2% was supported by council. That wasn't true. I did not support that until we got facts. I don't know what that means, supported by council, but it was not. I don't think we took a vote on it. We just discussed it. So I would like that taken out.
Okay.
Also, the discussion about, I don't remember a consensus, but if we did have one and I don't remember, council agreed the most important was the electric service upgrade at River Bluff, a new well, storage tank, and water leak. I don't remember that part. So the smart meter is not a part, correct?
Pardon, I'm sorry, about the smart meter what now?
Is not anything that we agreed to. Using the water replacement money that was left over for the smart meter We did not agree for that.
We didn't,
This was just a discussion.
it was just discussion, we didn't agree on anything. We were asked to put it into there, but just for consideration.
Okay, so I would like that supported by council taken out. Okay? That was it.
That it?
Yep.
Okay, July 24th, page 2, under the consent agenda. A motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Carey and duly seconded by Santlaven. It says the vote was taken 4-0, all ayes. It should be 5-0.
Where's that one?
Page 2, July 24th, item 5A. That's it. Any other changes?
That's in the minutes.
There was one other change in paragraph 12, in the second sentence of the paragraph.
What page, what
I
date?
think, let's see, it's in present, look at the top. It's on minutes for the July 24th council meeting on page 3, paragraph 12, second sentence. It says, Mr. Dyer proved counsel, and I think it was supposed to say, Mr. Dyer provided counsel. Well, I get the word proved changed to provided.
Anything else? Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda with the changes?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the consent agenda with the included amendments.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 6, citizens' comments. The City Council will hear comments from any citizen or visitor. Speakers must address their comments to the presiding officer rather than any individual council members or staff. Stand at the podium, speak clearly into the microphone, state your name, residential address before speaking. Speakers will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes. Speakers making personal, impertinent, profane, or slanderous remarks will be giving 1 warning or losing their privilege to speak or may be removed from the room. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stamping of feet, whistles, yells, similar demonstrations, distractions will not be permitted. No placards, banners, or signs will be permitted in the chambers or in any other room which council is meeting. In accordance with the State Open Meetings Act, the City Council is restricted from discussing or taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Action can only be taken at a future meeting. Is there anyone that would like to speak for citizens' comments?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. My name is Bob Whaley at 1314 Gentiles. A couple of things. I was aghast at a picture of a public works person with the lower half of his body sticking out of the water and the rest of him submerged, trying to put a sleeve on a pipe, no doubt. That's extremely dangerous. We had that situation before where the entire worker was underwater and could have easily gotten hooked on something and you'd have never known that they were in trouble. So if we don't have a pump big enough to keep the water out of a hole like that, then we might want to look at that. I understand they're trying to do the best they can to fix the thing quickly, but putting somebody's life at risk is not a great idea. There's no doubt a treasure trove of hidden valves, water valves under the city of Castro. Don't know where they all are, but we keep having these situations develop where the whole town is impacted. It really kills the restaurants. It really kills them when you got to work on it during their time. Of course, I know you've got to do the best you can there, but let's take some of this money in the budget and find places that we can put valves in or bypasses or reroutes so we don't get in this situation again. We have it within our power to do that, to take care of so we can isolate the city. We have enough wells that we can continue to get most people service. The water was out, we had a boil water for about 4 days, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and it was over a weekend. And if we can find a way to get the water tested so people don't have to boil water for day after day after day, that would be terrific. I was going to go home and watch a council meeting, but during the effort to fix the line break, you cut all the phone lines to the southeast part of town. So now there's no phone, there's no internet. I have a friend that works for AT&T. I called him, he told me, he said until they get all that taken care of, we are not going to be able to restore service, probably 2 or 3 days. And so if that happens, I would appreciate some help with my cell data bill, because I'll have to be using that for all my internet and work and telephone. So you got the stick, guys. Spend some money and let's do the best you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Shearhart?
Do I need to raise my hand first? Is that
Go
okay?
ahead, Bonnie.
Hello, my name is Bonnie Keller, and I live at 406 Paris Street, right around the corner. I'm here this evening to represent the fitness and aerobic citizens of our Castroville pool. I have circulated a petition down at the pool with over 30 signatures on it of citizens who frequent the pool during fitness, swim, and also aerobics hour. In May, we purchased a $90 pass, which cost each one of us $90. Some of us, like myself, paid $125, so we could utilize the pool during fitness time and also maybe stay a few minutes longer if we were late. And I'm hopeful by presenting this petition that you, our elected officials, will rectify the injustice that's been given to us. We are told now that the pool will close the third week in August. I might add that I have swum at the pool myself for over 35 years as a fitness person. And in the past years, if we have lifeguards that are willing to lifeguard us, we have swam up until Thanksgiving. But now they're cutting us off the third week in August. And we always swim in October. And what we used to do, and we had no problem doing it, was pay up front October 1 for the following year. So we would pay October this year, and it would last us through next year till October. We would pay our $115 so we could swim during fitness time. Last year, they didn't allow us to do that. They wanted us to pay in May. We paid in May. In the past years, not only have we swam on the weekends in May, but we also had a couple of swim times during the week. Not this year, weekends only. And we weren't allowed to even start our pass until the second week, I believe we were looking at the calendar, in June. So essentially, they're taking I figured out 5 weeks away from us this year, that first week of June plus the whole month of September, and not even offering us anything but just saying no. I did talk with the interim city administrator over a week ago and asked for her help concerning this matter. I told her several people had contacted me and were concerned, but I had not heard back from her, and I had hoped that y'all would rectify this injustice to us. I've inquired to several lifeguards who have stated they're willing to lifeguard us. We only need one lifeguard.
Bonnie, your 3 minutes are up. Thank you.
Okay. I do have this petition. Do you want me to leave it with anyone? Deborah? I thank you for your time.
Mr. Mayor and Councilman, my name is Sylvia Bain. My property is located at 1101 Lisbon here in Castroville. Thank you for this opportunity to address an important issue tonight. I realize that Council cannot address an issue unless it is on the agenda. To that end, Mr. Mayor, I am requesting to be put on the next Council agenda. I grew up in our home on the corner of Lisbon and Alturas, and our home has never experienced flooding during the time I was living there. Even in the 2001 flood, when water was running through the streets of Castroville, my home did not flood. All an individual must do now is drive down Athens Street to see the problem. My late father, who was a mayor of the city, addressed this problem on more than one occasion when normal rainfall caused the street to flood and was told without underground drainage changes there was nothing the city could do to alleviate. The first time our home flooded, I contacted my councilman, Mr. Ortiz, and was told that he was very sorry for our loss, but the city was unable to correct the problem without extensive and major street repairs and drainage changes. He advised that the city just did not have the money to correctly fix this problem, and he was very sorry, but the city is looking into it. This weekend, when my home again flooded, I contacted my councilman. He came, he took pictures, and he said he would do everything that he possibly could do to address this problem. Once again, I was advised that there was an estimated $3 million to fix the money to fix the problem, and there's just not that money in the budget. I asked our mayor if he could come by and look at the damage, which he did. He was most gracious and once again explained that there was extensive changes that must take place. The mayor's secretary had told me earlier in the day that there was a form that I could fill out and attach pictures of the damage and submit it to the city's insurance carrier for cost reimbursement. When I asked the mayor if that was my next step, he advised that there is no point in doing that. You will get nothing. I am curious as to how the mayor knows this is true, because as the last I know, the mayor is not omnipotent, and the council and their legal advisor would make that decision. When I stated that it appears that I would have to take the next step, the mayor strongly advised, you cannot sue the city. I don't believe that's correct. I will be asking the city to investigate correcting the drainage problem on this street and advise us as to what will be done to avoid any future flooding problems. If it is the city's plan to use surface streets for drainage as opposed to the expensive underground plan, then the city must be responsible to assure that the drainage stays in the respective streets. In the meantime, I will be looking into what recourse I have to recoup the losses due to the negligence of the city and the water damage to my property. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to the discussion when the council next puts me on the agenda.
Sammy Shearhart, 4516-901, known as Queehee Road, really. I'm here to address the water situation. We have two businesses here in town, and we've been out of water quite a bit. And it always seems like it hits late morning, noon, something like that, and you try to run a business without water. Hopefully you have enough teammates to satisfy people that way. But I can give you some of the reasoning why, because I believe that a lot of the mains that should have been taken out were not taken out. I can tell you personally, the one from the tank down to town, it's been there over 50 years, and it hasn't been changed. And that's an 8-inch main. It feeds the whole city. Let me tell you a little backstory about this, because I was on city council when that tank was put on the hill in 1960-something. The engineer told us, he said, now we can go with one main downtown. He said, but as the city grows, he said, you want to come off of this hill with at least 3 more mains, one to the east, one to the west, and we were going to take the one to the west pretty quick to get the motel and stuff, and that top part of the hill, which would have probably had a little pressure system yet to offset the elevation. Anyway, that has never been done. That's a long time in that, and we've had 2 or 3 breaks coming down that hill, and they're only going to get worse. That's old pipe when you're talking 50 years. So that's got something that has to be addressed. And not only that, when you have 3 things coming off of that hill, they can isolate better. You can ask your resident manager. You can isolate areas better. Another thing that I'd like to tell you it's bothered me a lot over the times, because I was in there 20 years. I was 15 councilman and 5 I was mayor. We had a chart up here that Miss Lafferty, and I'm talking back there before there was computers, because there were no computers, but they kept very good records on where the mains were, what size mains were put in, what size where the cutoffs were, all the radiuses for the fire plugs, what streets were paved and which streets weren't, because there were a lot of streets that weren't even paved in them days. There was 3 different boards that we could flip during our council meeting and see. And sometime in the late 80s, somebody discarded that without taking that information and putting it on the computers. I guess they go, well, we got computers now, we don't need it. But they should have taken that information and put it on their computer maps. You know, they're still looking for cutoffs and stuff, don't know where they're at, don't know how old some of the pipe are. I could sit down with that map and I could have told you when they were put in, about, you know, how old some of them are and this and that. But sometimes, some people don't think. But I'd like to, I have we have...
Time is up. Wind it up for me.
I'm up?
Yeah.
I'll come back next meeting.
Go ahead and close. Okay. Anyone else wish to speak at citizens' comments?
I'm Marcine Burrell, and I live at 139 Village Path, and I feel bad about complaining about our swimming situation when there's water troubles that need to be taken care of. But I just would like to emphasize that we have the lifeguards available. We've been told that they would be available to service us through September. We purchased our pass with the understanding, and it's written on the pass, May-September 2018. If the city had already made up their mind that they were going to cut us off the third week in August and had told us that, we could have made a better decision about whether we were going to buy a pass or pay as we go. And I feel like if that was their true intention and they did not disclose that, then that's bad business practice. If it wasn't, and you have just now made that decision, then every one of us that bought a pass is due a refund. You know, when our taxes are due, we pay them on time. We keep up with our utility bills, and overall are good citizens. We're just asking that the good faith we put in the city when we purchase those passes is honored. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for citizens' comments?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Helen Delavan, and I live at 1105 Lisbon Street. I'm here again about Athens Street to remind you as you ponder the budget that you have a problem that is worsening with every new home, driveway, and parking lot constructed in our watershed. I feel like a broken record, and a weary one at that. I have a file of photos and emails to the city spanning decades to document our frustration with the city's failure to address and resolve this problem. I'm sure you are as tired of receiving my emails as I am of writing them. From time to time over the years, I have really had hope. Council after council has placated us with assurances and promises of action, but time passes, the promises are not fulfilled, and the problem only becomes worse. For instance, it used to take a major rainfall of many inches in a few hours to inundate us. This weekend, it only took 2.5 inches of rain. Speaking of which, I used to look forward to rain, to watching the clouds gather, and to hearing the first drops on my roof. Now that sound only induces fear in my aging heart, and that's just not fair. I spent today cleaning debris that flowed into our yard from Lord knows where, and drying out our shop again. I will have to replace yards of mulch that washed out of my flower beds and now reside in the Baines yard or somewhere. The Baines will have to start ripping out carpets and replacing walls again. Thanks to years of patches and adding oil and gravel, our street levels have risen and our block has become a bowl from which water cannot escape. We can handle rain from the sky. We cannot handle the tons and torrents of drainage water now being dumped on us from both sides of Highway 90. At the moment, I have 3 specific requests of you, none of which will be expensive, all of which can be accomplished in-house and in days rather than months. Number 1, lower the intersections of Gentile and Algiers and Gentile and Athens. This will allow the water from all points above us to get to the river faster and will help keep it from backing up onto properties on Athens and Algiers. 2, cut down the easement behind our house, grading it down from east to west. This will at least some of the water in our yards to escape to the river via Algiers. Bruce Alexander did this for us some years back, and it worked really well. It needs to be done again. I've talked to Larry about this before and thought it would have been taken care of by this time. It has not. 3, pay closer attention as building plans are reviewed to where the water that once soaked in goes. Right now, it's going to us. A final note. We were advised several generations ago to join together with our neighbors and file a class action lawsuit against the city, and that can happen. We said no, as this was a step none of us wanted to take. We were sure that the city would do the right thing on its own. We are still waiting. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Hello, my name is Rhonda Jacobs and I reside at 1616 San Jacinto, and I am here to address concerns of the paper streets that run on each side of Koenig Park. I realize the paper streets are not old news, are new news for this community, but I want to bring awareness to what the residents are dealing with locally there. First and foremost, the trash. Who's responsible for the daily cleanup? Visitors come 24 hours, 7 days a week. This is not just a weekend thing. They build fires, they camp overnight, they have sex. We have landowners witnessing it happening and picking up the trash left behind. Alcohol and drugs, there's excessive drinking, trash and remnants of drug use left behind. Visitors overdosed and found dead or passed out due to drug and alcohol abuse. We have children jumping out of the trees on the riverbank. Is this a city liability in any case of an accident? Excuse me. Man-made ladders constructed by visitors for easier access, another liability. Who is responsible? Continuous theft for the property owners, being robbed day and night. Human feces, they either go on the riverbank or they go in the river. There are no public restrooms in the vicinity. We're picking up feminine products, toilet paper, I think I covered that. I've been down on the river. We had a kayak go missing last week, and I've contacted any individual that I see down there and question where they're from. 100% of them are not from Castroville. I've learned being out and about that they put in their map, Google Maps, they were trying to find a park, and it brings them to Koenig Park. They get to Koenig Park, they can't get in Koenig Park, so they make themselves home on those 2 paper streets. I feel like the honest people will say, hey, this isn't the park I'm looking for, and we direct them to the regional park. So I'm here to draw, attention to this situation because there's just a lot more going on down there than kids playing and people fishing, and I appreciate your time.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Mayor, council members, my name is Linda Waymeyer. I live at 137 Strasburg here in Castroville. I've lived in Castroville since 2005. My parents have owned, however, my parents own properties here since 1967. I have been involved in fitness swim since 2011, and I have been the water aerobics instructor for the last 5 years on a voluntary basis. I have never received any monetary compensation for my services, and I love water aerobics, as do many of the others. It's a great form of exercise, beneficial for your health and great on your joints. We do the water aerobics Tuesday through Friday from 7 to 8 and have anywhere between 5 and 10 on average persons. This does not include the swimmers. When the past states that it should run until the end of September, and we used to start the weekday fitness swim the end of May, 1st of June, and again we didn't start until the middle of June, and now it's going to end the 3rd week in August. We were not informed that it would end then, and the price stayed the same. However, the pool openings were cut short by about 5 weeks. Some of the people that attend the fitness swim are from Lacoste, Devine, Lytle, and surrounding areas. Castroville is a great place to live, has lots of history. People are friendly and involved in the community. We need Castroville to stay that way, not cut back. The pool and park are for the people and families to enjoy. Please keep the fitness swim open for the enjoyment of the community. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and members of the city. Terry Beck, I reside at 104 Harvest Moon. I attended the council meeting, I believe it was back in May, when this council discussed the repaving of the streets. Councilman Schuhart had a very important question that evening. And the question was, many of the roads in this town are uneven and need leveling. And he was assured by two members of this administration that that would be taken care of. I'm here to tell you it has not been. Under the items service section of the bid for the people who bidded to repave your streets, it says, this item shall consist of surface treatment composed of single or double or required application of asphalt covered with aggregate for the sealing of existing pavements, which shall leave the surface in a smooth and rideable condition. I haven't driven them all, I've only driven a few, but none of them fall under the headlines of what's written in this bid proposal. In another section under construction methods, it says the areas to be treated shall be cleaned of dirt, dust, and other deleterious matter by sweeping or other approved methods. It was not. When I came home, there were sticks, there were leaves, there was dirt, there was debris. They just took the oil and put it all over everything and put the rock over the top of it. They left two spots in front of my house, in front of my driveway, large spots that they didn't even put gravel. My truck was parked there, and it also says in here that we would be contacted 72 hours in advance to move our vehicles. We were not contacted. So guess what? They just paved right around my truck and left a beautiful blank spot, okay? Where depressions or large cracks exist in streets to be seal coated, the City of Castroville Public Works Department shall repair. I never saw that. They may be doing it now. They did not do it on my street or many streets in my subdivision. I'm asking this council, if you have money in the 2018-2019 budget for street repairs, I want you to remove it, or I want you to get serious and make sure that the job is done according to the papers that y'all put forward for people to bid on. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak before citizens' comments?
That's a hard act to follow. Eric Cherry, 110 Tumbleweed, Castroville, Texas. Just want to use my 3 minutes on, again, thank you guys for serving the city. I know it's a tough job. As far as the streets go, I think they've done a fairly good job, but I think they need to, as Terry pointed out, adhere to the contract and finish it up. I think if they do it, then it'll be fine. I wanted to spend most of the time, though, talking about the budget. The revenue from projected for 19 is how much over 18? Or the proposed budget, how much is the revenue projected higher than what we had last year? Don't know, right? We haven't seen a budget, but I guess we'll figure that out. If you take whatever's projected higher than what it was lower, and we took $400,000 out of the budget last year, okay? That means you got $400,000, right? Because unless you've added that expense back in somewhere, okay? So revenue being equal, you got $400,000. I was kind of good at math, okay? Now you're expecting to have an increase in revenue, I'm just talking revenue, not expenses, of a considerable amount of money from utility side. I project you're going to have a gain of about $1 million, okay? So you're going to be up $1 million revenue-wise from one year to the next. Okay? I think you need to look at that. You need to look at where your expenses are, because if you control expenses and you've got $1 million up in revenue, A, you can pay your debt service. I don't believe that to be a problem. Okay? And ultimately, if you have an increase in revenue year to year, plus increase in sales tax, which I believe you'll probably end up seeing, you're cash ahead, folks. Okay, now, of course, you're going to have to do some capital improvements. You're going to have to start working on some of those, expenses that are out there. But just based on the math that I know in my head, you should have $1 million sitting there somewhere. Oh, and by the way, on the pool thing, please leave it open till like the end of October or so, because I'm heading down there in the morning to take a shower. Okay, that's the only clean water in this city. And if y'all don't mind, I'm taking a bar of soap and
your time is up.
Getting my shower.
Anyone else wish to speak?
I'm Ann Ebner. I live at 912 Gent Still Street, and I'm also for the swimming pool fitness. I have been here for 28 years, been in the pool for 26. I've been lap swimming for the last 15 years. I've lost weight. I'm on no medication. I swim 1 mile a day, and I'm 75 years old. So it's a good thing for people to be getting into and doing, to stay healthy and keep fit.
Sign me up.
Great. We'd like to have you. The lifeguard, I'll say something really good this year. The lifeguard has been the best ever since I have been to the pool. They're on time. The pool has been super clean, and they're there when we need to swim. They've kept it just perfect. A good lifeguard staff. I would like it to stay open as long as weather permits. We have lifeguards that are willing to work, and what's the use of not using that pool? They have to keep the water clean. So 1 hour or two, and also the 1 hour has cut people short. For the 6 to 7 that work in San Antonio, they cannot make it, so that leaves them out for the 6 and 7 p.m. swim. It's always been 6 to 8. It is 6 to 8 a.m. in the morning. The 1 hour difference makes a lot for people that have to work in San Antonio and can't make it to the pool if it's only 6 to 7. I hope this is considered. We need that pool for people like me that can't walk in the summer. It's too hot to hit the streets and walk. In the winter, I do that. But please consider it. I would like to have the pool open as long as possible. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak before citizens' comments? Nobody else?
I'm Elisa Cease. I wasn't planning to speak, but Ann, you inspired me. I have pool brochures. I'm the current manager. Anybody want to come swimming? It's open till 10 tonight. In fact, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's open to 10. And my 91-year-old mom, as a lot of you know, is in great shape because when I was a kid, when Helen and Donna were running the pool, it was open till 9 o'clock every night. And my head lifeguard, Jonah Chang, is here, and my lifeguard's done a great job this summer. So I personally hope you let them swim because I'm a fitness swimmer who doesn't have time to swim right now. Have brochures, come on back. We need the money to pay the streets for next year's budget.
Anyone else wish to speak before citizens' comments? We're going to close citizens' comments at 6:37 p.m. Moving on to item number 7, discussion and appropriate action on setting the tax rate for the 2019 proposed tax rate and setting a date, time, and place for 2 public hearings on the tax rate if required. Let's let the room clear. Okay, Jerry?
Good evening, Council. Let's start, it's tax rate. I was headed to budget. Okay, so We just received the information from the county, so I apologize, but we could not have gotten it to you any sooner. We actually got the rollback and effective tax rate on Thursday, and we just got our tax value, our home values today. So we're bringing this to you just as quickly as we can. Can you hear me? It sounds like...
I don't think they're working.
Can you?
Well, turn them on.
Let me try. Let me see.
Can you hear us back there, Terry? They don't work.
Okay. All right, well, I'll talk into it. I'll try to talk into it a little more. Okay, so, now I'm going to have feedback. Okay, the effective tax rate, I'm just going to give you the tax rates first and then we'll discuss it. So the effective tax rate is 0.50409. This isn't right. Oh, I'm sorry, this is last year's, I'm sorry. The effective tax rate is 0.487850. The rollback tax rate is 0.508853. And our current tax rate is 504,093.
We have that on a sheet. Did you provide us that?
Did you make copies of this for council?
Agenda
Page 13.
Do you have copies? Sorry?
Tax rate.
Did you give them a copy of it? Would you give them a copy of it? We'll get you a copy of it. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
The assessed value, do you have sheets for us for that?
Yes.
The assessed value. The assessed value. Okay. The certified value is $162,883,727. Okay. Our interest in sinking rate that we have to charge, we have no choice, this is required by law, is 0.041494. That will pay our debt for this year that's paid out of the, paid using tax values. Okay, so what we are proposing is that we increase our tax rate up to the rollback rate, which is 0.0048 on the dollar. It's a very small tax increase. This will effectively mean that to go into the general fund, the tax on property would be $911.62. Our property values, our home average values went up from $157,262 last year to $180,843 this year. Okay, so what this does is it increases our revenue by a very small amount, by approximately $20,000. The reason that amount is so small is because our budget was based on a higher tax rate, and council elected to go back to keep it at the current tax rate. So our budgeted amount was higher than we actually received, and it's actually our budget last year is actually $2,000 that we are estimating this year with this tax rate. So tonight, what we need you to do is just go ahead and vote on the highest tax rate that you can approve. That is not necessarily the tax rate that you will approve, but according to the law, we have to post this in a certain language. And the language says that this is the tax rate that you are going to vote on. However, That's just the language that we are required by law to use. This is basically what it is the highest rate that you can. That does not mean you can't go lower. You just can't go higher. So that's why we're asking that you go ahead so that we can publish it and start our tax hearings. Go ahead and publish it at that rollback rate, knowing that that's the highest rate that you would approve here in about 4 weeks when you vote on the budget.
So in the agenda, the rollback rate is .50885, correct?
508853. Yeah, the 3's not on the, yeah.
Is that it?
That's
Herb, do
it.
you have anything?
Yes. First, I'd like to say I know the staff has been really working hard to get the budget done, and I appreciate, I know everybody's been working a lot of overtime. Having just received these figures from the county this week and integrating them into the budget is a big effort. I understand what we're doing here tonight is all we're doing is telling the public what the largest number we're considering is. We won't go any higher than that. It doesn't mean we're going to take that number, and I don't have any problem with that. I support using the rollback rate as the largest number we're considering. Having said that, though, the City Council spent a whole day working with the staff and making recommendations that they took back to integrate into the budget. I, for one, speaking for myself, would like to have enough time to understand how that came out and what the final proposed budget looks like. I don't see any papers here in front of me tonight that tell me about the capital investments. I know that's coming eventually, but I would like to have an opportunity to understand what the final proposed budget says as soon as is practicable. But I will support using the rollback rate as the amount, and I support the dates that the staff recommends for the hearing. That's all I have.
Todd.
I would have to agree with Mr. Herb, Mr. Dyer. I'm not dead set on the rollback rate, but if we got to post something, I would be in agreement with that.
Jesse?
Herb pretty well said it. I go along with it.
Okay. Paul?
I have to agree. I mean, we're just publishing this to be compliant with the law.
Phyllis?
I disagree. The average home value is not 157 to 180. My own home went up over $40,000, and we've got quite a number of other homes that aren't even close to, some of them, I looked them up, aren't even 50,000. So again, people who have nice homes that want nice area are going to get the burden. And I said this last year, this average home value is just a nebulous, incorrect figure that is not true. You can't say this is going to affect everyone the same way. It's not going to. So I say no. I don't even want to even consider, after having protested the increase and being told no, that you're going to make me pay more taxes. So I'm against it.
Can I have a motion to accept the rollback rate as the rate that we're going to publish?
So move.
Moved by Councilman Byers. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second by Councilman Dyer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carried. A roll call vote on the record.
We have the roll call?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dyer?
I know what it is.
Aye.
Mr. Shearhart?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mr. Carey?
Aye.
Ms. Santlever?
Nay. Thank you.
Okay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 8, discussion appropriate action and set a date for a public hearing on the 2019 annual operating and capital budget. Jerry, what's the magic dates?
Okay, so we're going to set a date for the budget on September 11th.
Right.
Yes.
I think there's a very short timeline for this, that we have to do it.
Yes, sir, we're really
Yeah.
tight. We're really tight.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions?
I have a question.
Mr. Dyer?
Is it possible we can have another short meeting prior to the council meeting, a special meeting, to kind of get a summary from the staff?
When's our next council meeting?
August 28th.
2 weeks.
We can put it on the agenda then and do something.
That would be good.
Okay.
I have on the agenda every agenda between now and the time we adopted the budget, so.
Yeah. So we'll have plenty of time. Todd, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Jesse? Paul?
No questions.
Phyllis? Everybody good? Do we need a motion for that?
Yes.
It doesn't say that. Yes, it does.
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion to set September 11th as the date for the public hearing?
I move we set Tuesday, September 11th as the date for the public hearing on the FY19 annual operating budget.
Second.
Have a second by Councilman Carey. Do we have to roll call that?
No, we do not.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and appropriate action on setting a date for a public hearing on the annual operating, we already did that one.
No, we did that.
9, I'm just reading it over again. That September 11th thing just kind of bothered me, that one. Discussion on the 2019 5-year physical forecast and the 2019 budget. Jerry?
Yes, hello. So in front of you, let's start with the general fund. This is the same format that I gave to you at the budget workshop, so we just a continuation of that discussion. So you'll see on the long sheets, the very last page, under the gray, the blue, and the orange. That's pretty much what we discussed at that workshop.
So it's a $133,000 deficit, correct? In that one?
No, not the general fund. So in the general fund, right there where it says total revenue and expenditures, because we budgeted the way we budget, or the way we manage the budget, because, like I said previously, because council did not adopt the revenue increases, the rate increases, we were estimated to put $500,000 back into fund balance, but we were unable to do that because we didn't collect the revenues that we had estimated. But because we did manage the budget and do a lot of cutting, we're estimating that we're going to put about $250 back in, which is about half of that. And the proposed tax rate, which is in the orange, or I'm sorry, the proposed budget in the orange, this includes all those items that that we discussed at the last meeting. I'm sorry, I'm talking general fund. I was saying tax. I was saying fees. I meant tax rate. We didn't increase the tax rate, so we aren't getting as much in as we had estimated. But even with that, even with putting these things back in that we discussed, we are only estimating that we are going to use about $50,000 of the fund balance. Now, those items that we put in that we discussed were, the capital items are the dump truck, and a half-ton extended cab, an animal control vehicle, a police vehicle, and the generators that y'all discussed. The generators were about $5,500. The animal control vehicle was $30,000. The half-ton extended cab was $32,500, and then the dump truck at $36,750. So, as you can see, we were able to incorporate everything in the budget that we had discussed and still keep it without hitting the fund balance too much.
I wanted to ask a question. On that, was there 2 pickups involved here?
Just one.
Okay. Sounds like one is a...
Oh, I'm sorry, animal control. We did have animal, yes, I'm sorry, animal control, yes. I was thinking, yeah, streets.
That was the extended cab?
The animal control, I think, is a 3/4 ton.
Yes. Okay, and then, so we're looking at 2 pickups or?
Two trucks. Two trucks and a...
That's what I thought, I just want to make sure.
2 trucks and an SUV and a dump truck. Okay, so bottom line, I don't think you'll see much different than we had at the Saturday workshop. But I will say that the I'm sorry.
You're good.
We had a paper jam and everything right before it came in, and I'm a little bit distracted here. All right. Total revenues budgeted. We were budgeting a $400,000 hit to fund balance. We're estimating putting $40,000 back in, and then this year we're estimating using fund balance by $133,000. As I said at the last meeting, when you go through the 4 future years, we will be, if this budget stays the way it is, we'll be using that $400,000, but we're not hitting it as quickly as we had anticipated in the beginning.
So if we just take the history that we did last year, we were projecting a $400,000 hit to the reserves. We were going to take, be $400 deficit, and we've actually turned it around and we have money that we're going to put into the reserve. So this year you're proposing, $133,000
hit.
So what are you going to do? Give us $250 into reserves at the end of the year, or how's that going to work out?
Well, not really.
Is this a conservative number? You're not loading this number up. This number is real. It's a real number that we're working with. Is it? I'm just asking.
This is as tight as I believe we can get it. Staff has worked really, really hard to keep.
I know everybody's done a really good job this year at cutting expenses, and we got a lot done. And it's really, I like that we're actually doing some things, putting some equipment on the books to do some work with, so we can get some more projects done. Some of these smaller drainage projects and stuff like that we could do in staff, in-house. I think you guys have done a fantastic job. I think everybody wants to take the time between now and the next council meeting and review these Is there any other backup material you can give us with this?
I can give you whatever you want, and just...
I think you guys did a great job, and I appreciate the effort. Herb, did you have anything else?
Not now, I mean, I'm going to try to digest what we got.
Okay.
I'm sure that I'll have questions and I'll send them to Jared. I would like to just say, we're not covering utilities tonight, are we? Utility capital?
Yes, sir, we're going to cover all three. They've got.
You're going to cover that?
Yeah, you've got it on your, yes, we're going to cover utility fund and airport.
Okay. Anybody got any questions on the general fund?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Miscellaneous went up to 61,000. What is the miscellaneous in that?
Miscellaneous where, what?
Miscellaneous, it says miscellaneous.
On the summary sheet.
On the one you're looking at, it's proposed 61,000.
The summary.
Summary sheet.
Yeah.
Well, it went down from the budget last year.
What is miscellaneous?
It went down from 66 to 61, is that what we're looking
Can you
at?
give us an idea what that means? What is miscellaneous?
Okay. That's going to be... That's going to include your line items that are on, say, well, city administrator, that includes the miscellaneous line item for things that, there's going to be things that come up through the year that don't really have a category to put it in, and that's based on history and what we think we're going to spend. Let me find a good one here. That would include, say, under police, special activities of $2,750. It's those things that don't have a good place for them, such as...
And we had some of those Saturday, I just don't remember what it was.
I don't remember, but I'll be happy to provide that detail.
Okay.
But this just summarizes all the different funds, so when you pull them out of there, it'll get it, but I'll get that to you.
All right, thank you.
So on your long spreadsheet, you have the initials on the left-hand column. The miscellaneous apparently falls under M there. So if we wanted to tally those, that's what you've got, correct?
Yeah, it'd be under the M, yes.
Right, okay. Thank you.
Anything else on the general fund? Can we move on to the utility fund, please?
Okay, utility fund, now that I got it together here. So this was the one I was looking at a minute ago. I had them backwards. So when you look at the last page on the utility fund, this is where we budgeted that we were going to increase our fund balance by about $500,000. And that was based on the adopting the rates that were proposed in our rate study. However, we didn't adopt those rates, so we didn't collect the revenue that we had anticipated. However, we still think we're on track to put about half of that back into the fund balance. And the reason that we were proposing an increase to fund balance was to help to build up to pay our debt. In 2018-19, this budget, we are proposing, we put some of these capital items back in that we pulled out last year, the ones that council instructed us to put that back in that Saturday meeting. And so with putting these back, we should only decrease our fund balance by about $50,000, which is basically a flat budget. Those items that we're putting back in are the two employees, one in the electric and one in water. There's, there's actually, there's no equipment that we're putting back into the utility fund, except for the leases. There's two capital leases that we're going to, that's one is for a Caterpillar and a, what are the two things that were, the two leases that we were talking about, Larry? The two for the utility fund. What were they?
The backhoe?
There was a maintainer and a backhoe.
Christie, what is that?
The maintainer, the backhoe, and the dump truck, none of those go to the utility fund? Trencher?
Christie's going to get that. She,
We got yet.
it was a trencher and a backhoe. Anyway, other than that, that was all that that we put back into the utility fund. Those are the only things that we that I recall council addressing.
What about the renovation of the electrical renovation?
Now, those are, so, yeah, the instruction that I remember getting was to come back with those numbers and get with the engineer and get with the, our financial advisors and come back with a plan.
Right.
And so that's not really
Exactly.
included in this budget. If we have to, we'll come back with an amended budget, but the resources that we're looking at would be, I mean, everything, impact fees, so that, and of course, fund balance, existing fund balance, issuing debt. So we're looking at all of our revenue sources, so that may not necessarily be included in the actual budget, but in a capital budget. So that's for a later date. But yes, we have that on our list of items that will be coming back to you at a later date.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
23 penalties electric. These are bills that haven't been paid. Is this an average that is actually recovered, or is it a estimate of what we should recover?
No, if you're talking about the revenues receiving penalties, that's what we estimate that we're actually going to receive.
That we're recovering?
Yes.
So how much are we losing? How much do we lose on people not paying their electric bills?
I can get you those figures. I don't have them right now, yeah.
And this is the money that we get is through a collection service, or they end up paying their...
No, not necessarily. When we get the money back from the collection service, it's handled the exact same way that we handle collecting the bill. It goes into goes to the customer's bill, and that goes in as revenue.
I'm just curious to see how much we're losing on electric payments.
Yeah, these are just the penalties that we charge.
Sorry.
Is this most of this penalties, or is this most of this that we, like the Sandlady was talking about, that just walk the bill?
No, these are penalties that we actually charge.
That people are late, that's the bulk of this?
That's all of it. That would be like if they get...
That we actually have.
I'd
like to know what you're talking about, but
if they get cut off, they get a penalty, or if they're late, there's a penalty. So that's actual penalties that we charge. That's not actually, and it's.
So if we could get how much we really lose in unpaid bills.
Okay.
That's a lot of money already there. And I have a question on 27 water services. What is that 22,000?
I'll get you the detail on that.
It's 27.
Okay.
Well, I don't need to know now. It just seemed like a kind of weird number that doesn't, I don't understand what it means.
It's the money we get to clean the water service center.
Sorry?
It's the money we get to clean the water service center.
Impact fee, basically.
From the house.
Oh, so you expect it to be 22,000? But this is estimated.
Any more questions about the utility fund? We doing the airport fund?
Thank you. She's getting another copy.
Oh.
She was not
Okay, so the airport fund, I got today the email from Mr. Arnold that with their capital items, and so I included those in here. Included in this budget is $7,000 for signage. They needed around the airport to keep auto drivers and pilots in the right places. Security of $10,000 for a fence. Security cameras of $8,000. And then ramp grant, the use of the $100,000 ramp grant for some matching money for the brass hanger and surface maintenance. So that's included in this budget. So right now,
We don't have a breakdown of that? It's just in these numbers?
it's in the numbers, yes, sir.
Would you make sure that we're provided that list?
Yes, sir. So at this time, we estimate that we put, Christy, this is not the right report. Okay, this report does not include the capital items. So,
Oh, this does not include those items? The capital outlay line is blank.
No, there's nothing there.
okay, it has the $100,000 for the ramp grant. Yeah, it is. There's 3 ramp grant numbers. Yeah, it's here. It's right there. That's on the, yeah.
What's the ramp grant used for? Is that to...
That's for any kind of maintenance.
Doing that, where they fill in the cracks?
Routine airport maintenance, include anything that you could put in the category of maintenance to the airport. could conceivably be put into that. It's 50/50 net. We'll see.
Cracks, they change the holes on the line.
There it is, right there under miscellaneous. That's the $25,000. That's the capital.
What page is that on?
That is on the last page. About the middle.
There's 2 ramp grants.
There's actually 3 ramp grants.
3?
Yeah, I remember in our budget meeting, we discussed they had 3 line items for ramp grant on there. And so what I did was I took all the money out of the ramp grants and combined it into one, which is on the second to the last page at the very bottom. So that $25,000 under miscellaneous is $7,000 for signage, $10,000 for security fencing, and $8,000 for security cameras. So it is in there. So with that, we're looking at, if you adopt this budget, we're predicting that we'll put about $40,000 back into their fund balance for use at a later date. So, there's really not a lot more to say about this budget.
Okay.
It's just, you know.
Any questions? Anyone have any questions on the airport budget?
Yeah. Who are all the people that we have for personnel salaries here?
That would be the grounds maintenance and then a part-time, half-time airport manager.
So 81,000 is grounds and a manager, part-time?
The budget for salaries is 60,000. Well, that's for the base salaries, and then you have the
taxes.
Yeah, the taxes and other things including that.
So 81,000 is for, but that's the total personnel cost. I'm looking at the first page.
Oh, yes, that's correct. You're looking at the
So
first
that-
page, yes.
But if I look at the bottom, then it's,
That includes Social Security, retirement, health insurance, and all those things.
okay. And then has the jet fuel ever been resolved? There's no income whatsoever from the jet fuel, FS? Jet A?
Okay, so the jet fuel, if you look on the first page of the long sheets, down about a little past the middle, there's Avgas and Jet A.
No, I know, but we're not making any money off the jet fuel is my point. So I think the fuel sales, you have 223 or 234, that includes jet fuel?
Yes, it does.
But, or might not make that. Jet A, right?
Yeah, so we budgeted $88,000 for jet fuel for this year. We're estimating that we're going to receive about 32, and so we're budgeting for approximately 40 for next year, so we have reduced that budget.
And the payment for the fuel farm, who's paying that? Is that paid off?
We have one more year, I believe, on that.
And where is that?
That would be...
Is that an expense?
That's on the last page, so it's paid off in 2020.
But that's not an operating expense?
It's a loan payment down at the...
But it doesn't, so it doesn't figure into the operating expense?
Yes, it's in there, it's on that last page.
I'm still looking at that first page.
Oh, okay.
That would be, because the debt service says it's only 60,000.
It's included in that debt service payment right there.
60,000.
Yes. We have,
I understood it was 400,000 for that jet farm, that fuel farm.
well, we've paid for it, that's just the debt service payment for this year.
Okay.
I'm not sure of the exact amount. I don't remember what that was, do you recall?
It was just built, so I only see, that's not, that total of debt service doesn't match the cost of the fuel farm that I understood. Maybe I misunderstood it, but I understood it was $400,000. We're not making any money off of it.
I thought we got matching funds from TxDOT on that.
We did?
Yeah.
Well, just check on it.
Yeah, this would be our payment, so the, whatever the grant was, would have been in a different, you know.
The city
It was probably
doesn't pay for it,
offset.
right?
No, the city doesn't pay for it.
So it should show in the airport expense.
So it looks to me like what they did in prior, right here, 2014-15, I bet it sets 458.
That was the, I thought we just built it. We paid for it ahead of time.
We might have gotten the, when, I don't even know when we built it, I wasn't
We
here,
just
so. I don't-
did. Yeah, we built it last year.
It was finished
Yeah.
last year.
We paid them ahead of time. I
So,
guess.
no, we would have received the money,
Well, if you could just,
yeah.
I'm just curious, because I know we just finished it. So it's just, it just doesn't tally the debt for that much money.
Any other questions, Phyllis?
Yeah, we'll get that.
I'd like, on the summary sheet, very first page, under operating revenues, rentals and leases. Go over to the amount that was budgeted for the current year, $311,061, and then you look at the proposed for next year, it's only $102 more. And I'm wondering, I thought we had a clause in our rental that puts it up at the amount of the CPI, and it's only $102?
We did have a clause.
Yeah, it was,
We had a 2.9% CPI, and yet we only raised, we get the revenue estimate is only up $102. Should go up 2.9% from what we had last year, approximately. I know you're not settled on 2.9, but it should be closer to 2 probably.
okay, yes, sir, you brought that up in the Saturday workshop, and I did not change that, so I need to change that.
It doesn't look like you put the 2 in.
I think I have it at 1. I think I have it low, I need to change, I need to fix that, yes, sir, you're right.
Any other questions, sir?
No, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions on the airport budget? That it? We're good. Have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Mayor, I move we have an adjournment.
So moved. At 7:21 PM.
Good at that.